Did you know that according to relationship data, more than 50% of couples try to stay together after trust is broken, but only a tiny fraction of them ever find true peace again? When a marriage or a long-term partnership experiences the heavy shock of betrayal, the very ground beneath your feet disappears in an instant. The immediate question that burns in a person's mind is simple. Is it actually worth it to try and rebuild? Or am I just signing up for more years of hidden pain, suspicion, and wasted energy? In the study of human psychology, we see a very strong behavioral trend when couples try to fix a broken bond too quickly. Many people believe that if two individuals still love each other, love alone will be enough to erase the past and restore the relationship back to normal. However, behavioral observations suggest that love is almost never the problem after infidelity. The true problem is the complete destruction of safety, respect, and emotional balance. Choosing to reconcile can sometimes lead to a beautiful, stronger connection, but in many other trends, it simply leads to a slow, agonizing waste of time where both partners trap themselves in a loop of constant checking, hidden resentment, and quiet misery. Understanding whether a rebuild is worth your life energy requires a cold, objective look at human nature rather than emotional wishful thinking. Today, we are going to look deeply beneath the surface of the post-betrayal dynamic. We will look at the foundational trends that determine if a relationship can truly heal, why forcing a repair out of fear leads to a negative cycle, and how to evaluate if your partner possesses the true psychological traits needed to earn your trust again. Most people see what happened. Few stop to understand why it happened. If you're here to think deeper, question assumptions, and see beyond the surface, you're in the right place. Subscribe and join the conversation, because better understanding leads to better decisions. To answer the heavy question of whether reconciliation is worth it, we must first analyze a psychological pattern called the false rebuild trap. When the news of an affair comes to light, the immediate reaction of both partners is often driven by an intense fear of loss. The partner who was unfaithful might cry, apologize endlessly, and promise to change everything just to stop the immediate crisis. The hurt partner, feeling a massive void of loneliness, might accept these promises immediately just to stop the sharp emotional pain. Behavioral observations indicate that this is the exact moment where a major mistake is made. When you rush back together simply to avoid the pain of separation, you are not fixing the relationship. You are simply putting a temporary bandage on a deep wound. The underlying psychological issues that allowed the betrayal to happen in the first place are completely ignored. True reconciliation cannot be bought with quick tears or dramatic promises. It requires a long, slow behavioral trend of consistent honesty, absolute openness, and a total willingness to sit through uncomfortable conversations without getting defensive. A critical behavioral trend to watch during this trial period is what we call the defensiveness clock. When a person commits an act of infidelity, they usually experience a mix of guilt and shame. In the first few weeks after the discovery, their guilt forces them to be very cooperative, patient, and understanding of the hurt partner's anger. However, psychological trends show that as the months pass, the unfaithful partner's internal shame can turn into frustration. If the hurt partner asks a question about the past or expresses sadness 6 months later, the unfaithful partner might snap and say words like, "I already apologized, why can you not just move past this?" This sudden shift in behavior is a major red flag in relationship psychology. It shows that the person does not have the true emotional intelligence or the psychological stamina required to rebuild a shattered foundation. If a person cannot carry the weight of the damage they created without losing their temper, the reconciliation process will stop being an educational journey of healing and will instead become a toxic loop of repeated anger. Let us look at a realistic story involving a couple named Arthur and Beatrice to see how these behavioral tendencies look in everyday life. Arthur was a hard-working manager who discovered that his wife, Beatrice, had been maintaining a hidden relationship with an old acquaintance for several months. Arthur felt completely destroyed, but because he was terrified of being alone and losing his daily family routine, he immediately agreed when Beatrice begged for a second chance. Beatrice promised she would never lie again, and for the first 2 months, she was highly attentive. However, Arthur found himself trapped in a state of constant anxiety. He felt a subconscious urge to check her phone every single night, and his mind was flooded with negative thoughts whenever she left the house. When Arthur tried to express his anxiety in a calm manner, Beatrice began to show the pattern of the defensiveness clock. She would roll her eyes and say that Arthur was punishing her unfairly. Instead of doing the hard psychological work of answering his questions with transparency, Beatrice began to hide her phone logs again, claiming she needed her personal privacy. This dynamic caused a very negative outcome. Arthur spent 2 full years living in a state of high stress, constantly watching her movements, until he finally realized that Beatrice had never actually changed her internal values. The marriage collapsed completely, leaving Arthur with 2 extra years of deep emotional exhaustion. Arthur made the classic mistake of forcing a reconciliation based on fear rather than waiting to see real, long-term behavioral consistency. He ignored the early signs of defensiveness and allowed his fear of loneliness to keep him trapped in a situation that had zero true respect. Have you ever seen a situation where a couple tried to stay together after a betrayal, but the constant suspicion and lack of true change made the relationship feel like a golden prison? I invite you to think about this dynamic and share your perspective in the comment section below. When we look closely at Arthur's experience from a psychological viewpoint, we see that the 4th major factor in a post-betrayal analysis is the trust matrix. Trust is not a switch that you can turn on or off by making a verbal agreement. In human psychology, trust is built on a very simple rule: matching words with physical actions over a sustained period of time. If a partner says they are completely transparent but continues to keep passwords hidden or locks their phone when they enter a room, their physical behavior is denying their verbal promise. High-value individuals do not waste their time trying to force a partner to act right. They simply step back, maintain their own emotional boundaries, and watch the data of daily life. If the data shows that the unfaithful person is making active changes, such as voluntarily sharing their location, answering difficult questions with absolute calm, and cutting off all contact with the third party, then the reconciliation might have a logical chance of being worth the effort. But if the data shows hidden moves, irritation, or a desire to rush the process, human behavior patterns suggest that the underlying character has remained completely the same. When you realize that trust is a scorecard of physical actions rather than emotional pleas, you stop letting empty promises guide your life choices. You begin to understand that protecting your peace of mind requires a cold look at your partner's long-term habits. Now, we must examine the remaining behavioral patterns that reveal whether a relationship can truly survive this heavy crisis and how you can use this knowledge to preserve your personal dignity. We will look at how to measure true internal change, why a shift in daily power dynamics matters, and how a quiet focus on your own life direction naturally reveals the right path forward. The 5th behavioral trend to analyze in a post-betrayal situation is the pattern called the accountability test. In relationship psychology, a true recovery can only begin when the unfaithful person takes complete, absolute ownership of their actions. A common negative behavioral trend is for a partner to say they are sorry, but then immediately follow it with a reason that minimizes their choice. For example, they might say, "I did it because I was feeling lonely," or because we were having too many arguments about money. Psychological observations suggest that this is a subtle way of shifting the blame onto the relationship or onto you. True accountability contains no excuses. It requires a person to look their spouse in the eyes and admit that their choice was a result of their own lack of discipline and moral standards. If a partner cannot pass this test, it means they are still protecting their own ego, and a true rebuild is completely impossible. If you're still locked in, you're seeing what most people miss. This channel is for thinkers, not reactors. Subscribe if that resonates. Share your perspective below. Now, let's get into the part most people overlook. The 6th behavioral trend is the reset of polarity. When betrayal happens, the emotional power balance inside the home completely shatters. In many cases, the hurt partner will stay in the marriage but will use the betrayal as a permanent weapon to punish the other person during every small disagreement. They will bring up the affair to win arguments, demand endless favors, or make their partner feel constantly inferior. While the anger is completely justified, keeping a relationship in a permanent state of punishment is a highly destructive trend. A true reconciliation cannot happen if the home turns into a courtroom where one person is always the criminal and the other is always the judge. Rebuilding a healthy connection requires a mutual agreement that the old relationship is completely dead. If you choose to stay, your goal must be to build an entirely new partnership based on modern boundaries, where both individuals can eventually stand as equals again. Let us look at a realistic story of positive transformation involving a couple named Craig and Brenda to see how this healthy dynamic looks when it is done correctly. Craig was a small business owner who discovered that his wife, Brenda, had been lied to him about her interactions with a former partner. Craig felt a deep sense of betrayal, but instead of screaming or instantly demanding a divorce, he decided to utilize the rule of the observational distance. He sat down with Brenda and told her calmly that he was stepping back from the relationship emotionally to think about his future. Brenda did not get angry or try to blame Craig for her choices. Instead, she immediately showed the pattern of true accountability. She deleted her private social media accounts, gave Craig full access to her communication devices without him asking, and voluntarily started attending counseling sessions to understand her own behavioral flaws. More importantly, she remained completely patient and supportive whenever Craig had moments of sadness or doubt, even a year after the incident. Craig watched this data of daily consistency over 18 months while focusing heavily on his own physical health and growing his business. Seeing Brenda's unshakable commitment and absolute transparency, Craig eventually decided that the relationship was worth saving. Together, they built a completely new foundation of respect, and their marriage became stronger and more transparent than it had ever been before. Craig succeeded because he did not rush the process out of fear. He allowed Brenda's real actions to prove her character over time, protecting his dignity while allowing room for true growth. How do you feel about the idea that a partner must work for a long time to prove their internal change before you offer them your full trust again? Think about how patience can protect your future stability and drop your thoughts below. The 8th rule in this process is the forgiveness timeline. Many people believe that forgiveness means forgetting what happened or instantly restoring the relationship to how it used to be. But psychological data shows that true forgiveness is simply the internal choice to stop carrying the heavy weight of anger, so it does not destroy your own health. It has nothing to do with the other person. The 9th rule is the boundary blueprint. If you choose to reconcile, you must set clear, non-negotiable standards for how you expect to be treated moving forward, and your partner must accept these rules without any complaints. Finally, the 10th rule is the final assessment. You must look at the total situation after a year of observation and ask yourself a very honest question. Am I staying because this relationship is genuinely adding value to my life, or am I staying simply because I am afraid of starting over? When a man answers this question with absolute honesty, he frees himself from emotional stagnation and reclaims the power to shape his own destiny. If you're still here, you've already done something most people don't. You didn't settle for the headline. You stayed for the deeper layer. In a world that rewards quick reactions, taking the time to understand is becoming a rare skill. That's what this channel is about. Not taking sides, not chasing outrage, but looking beneath the surface to understand the patterns that shape people, relationships, and decisions. If you value conversations that make you think long after the video ends, subscribe and stay connected. And if something in today's discussion stood out to you, share it in the comments. Some of the best insights come from seeing how different people interpret the same idea. Keep questioning, keep learning, keep seeing beyond the obvious. I'll see you in the next one.